Welcome to Great Northern Cascade Division N scale. In this video, I'm still working on the Spokane stations, but I'm doing a little bit of a detour. I need to wire in this Atlas Code 55 double crossing. This is on the east side of the Spokane stations. So on this line here, this is what's coming in from the Great Northern Depot. This is what's then coming in from Union Station, then go out to reversing loop out into Hillyard. But I need to get this in place, I need to get it wired so that I can figure out the geometry properly of here, but also then the tracks that are going to be coming into it. So this is specifically using the Atlas Code 55 turnouts and the crossing. These are already DCC friendly, so if you're watching this wanting to figure out how you would wire something up, it might be a little bit different depending on what manufacturer you're using, what scale that you're working in. Again, this is Code 55 Atlas N scale, DCC friendly already, which does make it a lot easier. Looks intimidating. It looks like there's going to be a lot going on. It's really not that hard because this crossing already has 2 solder pads underneath, and that's all we need to do. And then these turnouts, they're already DCC friendly, so really all you would have to do is drop in a wire for the frog that would connect into your turnout motor so that it will reverse the DCC phase, not polarity, will reverse the DCC phase as you would throw the turnout. I am then also putting in feeders coming into each of the turnouts just to make sure that I have some good clean power. So walk through this one. I'm not going to get into showing you how to solder wires. I already need to know that. No one needs to criticize my soldering skills anywhere, but I will walk through how the wiring works and how you can go about doing this yourself. Okay, so I'm going to try and wire up what is essentially a double crossover made out of Atlas Code 55 track. Now, I didn't come up with this idea. Mike Pfeiffer originally, I saw this online well over a decade ago. He originally used number 10s, and I think that the geometry then works a lot better. I am using number 7s just because even on a large layout like mine, I'm space constrained. So it's 2 number 7 left-hand turnouts, 2 number 7 right-hand turnouts. In the middle here, we then have the 11.25 degree crossing. That's item number 2040 from Atlas. And then we got 2 lengths of track that I've just kind of cut down to length, and they're about 6.4 inches, I think is what they end up to. So again, the geometry isn't perfect in the middle here because I'm using number 7s. Ideally, again, use number 10s, but I think it will be fine even on these number 7s to be able to go in and out. Atlas Code 55 turnouts are already DCC friendly, so there's nothing that you need to do. You don't have to modify them. There is this little frog pad, if I can lift this up. There is a frog pad on the Code 55 turnouts right here, and so you just wire in a frog into the turnout motor that you're going to be using. I use the Circuitron Tortoise switch machines, and so then as you would throw that frog, throw the turnout, then that middle frog will get whatever phase of DCC it needs. On my layout, the back rail is always the blue wire, so the blue phase, and then the front rail is always white wire or the white phase. So all I will do here is solder in. I actually do it on the rail joiners just because I'm kind of lazy. Blue phase, white phase, and I'll do that on all 4 of the turnouts. And that just makes sure that I have good power coming into this whole area, and also then on the tracks that are leading into them. In the middle here, the actual crossing is also DCC friendly from Atlas, which is kind of nice. We've got plastic frogs, and then more plastic frogs, and the catch rails and whatever else. I'm not going to get all these terms right, don't yell at me. But the actual rails themselves always stay the same. Doesn't matter which way the actual turnouts are thrown. The turnouts being thrown is only important on this frog here, because if it's thrown, well, if we leave it so it's set to go straight through, then this has to be sending the blue phase from the frog. If we throw the turnout, so now we're coming off the diverging route, well, now this becomes the back rail that's actually being used. So this has, the front rail, sorry, this has to now be the white phase. If we get that wrong, then we'll create a short. If we don't power it, it'll probably be okay on most of my locos. They're all multi-wheel pickup, but some of the shorter wheelbase locos might have a problem. If you got a dirty wheel on one of the back trucks, it might not pick it up, so you power it. Over here, there's a lot of plastic in the middle here. So even though all these other rails will just get power coming through from the joiners, in the middle here, we won't. And so this is what we need to try and wire up. Now on the back, again, DCC friendly from Atlas, there are 2 solder pads right here. And so we're upside down. So this is actually going to be the blue phase wire that we'll solder in. This is going to be the white phase wire that will solder in. And it makes sense if we flip it back over. The solder pads are right here. That was that white phase one. And the solder pads are right here. That's the blue phase one. Because these back rails will always be that blue phase. These front rails will always be that white phase. Again, it's not affected by what the turnout is set to. That's only the frog. These rails will always be the same. Doesn't matter which direction the loco's coming from. They'll always be the same. So all we have to do is put in the blue wire, white wire, the frogs, which go out to the switch machines, and then optionally, which is what I'm going to do, is just make sure that I basically got feeders coming into each of them, just so that I make sure I have a good amount of power going all the way through. I've also already marked out on the layout back here, just kind of set this down and marked out where these wires are actually going to go. I'll drill the holes, solder this up, and then we'll come back and have a look at it and start to actually get it running. All right, this is now with that wired up. All the wires are soldered onto it. So now hopefully it makes a little bit more sense. Blue and white. Blue is on the back. Blue is on the back. Blue is on the back all the way through. And then I always do my frog wires green because frogs are green. Ribbit, ribbit. So just those 4 solder pads for the frogs. And then we'll deal with that when we come to the actual turnout motors. This is then onto those solder pads in the middle of that crossing. And so it's actually fairly straightforward to wire. You just need to make sure that your blue wires are always on the same side and your white wires are always on the same side. So I am going to try and get all of the wires through, lower it down in place, and then wire it into the buses. We won't have the frogs running just yet, but if I at least wire into the main bus for DCC, then we'll be able to make sure that, one, we don't immediately start tripping more on the PM74 circuits, but we could also then try putting a loco through and making sure that when we hit this crossing, then we're not messing things up polarity-wise. The turnouts, like I said, we'll deal with those later. They won't cause any problems for us now because we're simply not applying any power to it. So this is then what the underside of this looks like. So we've got the frog wires that are just kind of coiled up on both sides. I just do that to keep it out of the way. They are future Ian's problem. And then we have the blue and white wires that are then coming down from the actual number 7 turnouts themselves. And again, they just go into the bus. The one on the left-hand side here is the one that's coming down from the crossover itself, the crossing itself. And so we've now got 5 blue, 5 white, and then 4 frogs hanging out. I'm going to go and turn power on to the track itself. We pop back up at the moment. This track is disconnected. I don't have anything on either side of it, so I can put power into here, and if there are any problems, it's not going to immediately cause problems for any locomotives that are on there. We'll get a multimeter and just make sure that we have the phases as we would expect them to be, and then we can try actually moving something back. All right, so we'll see how well this works with me being able to actually keep the camera in view all the time. So we're going to start over here. It doesn't really matter what the numbers are. All I want to do is make sure that it's somewhat reproducible. So that's at minus whatever, 10, something like that. If we come down onto the other turnout, we're about the same. If we come into this middle part, we're at the same. And if we just kind of move our way around all the stuff on the outside, we always should be getting those negative values. It doesn't really matter, it's just because of how I've got the point it's connected, just so that I can get it through. Now, let's say we want to start looking at stuff in the middle. Well, again, we're not doing anything into that central part yet, but we're still okay here. So the rail joiners are carrying power through into the crossover for us. And so all of this is fine. And now let's assume the loco is coming down here. So now this is one that should be hooked up to that pad we soldered underneath. And so as you can see, that polarity is still correct. So if we cam through, this one's coming off the rail joiner from the turnout anywhere, but this red one where I'm going to put the probe, that should be on solder pad as well. And that's giving us the same values. So if we move around onto the other line, and we've got the SAM, and then come over here, it should be in that pad where the red probe's on right now. And there we go. So that is just kind of going through the logic of, I know that at each part of the turnouts, at each part of the actual crossing itself, coming through the frog of the crossing, all of the rails are where they should be. So if we now try putting a locomotive on here and moving it back and forth, pretty comfortable that I'm not going to trip anything and I'm not going to try and burn out the locomotive. So proof is in the pudding. Let's try that. All right, so we've got that F7A unit on that backtrack. Let's say it's come out of the return loop, heading back westbound into Spokane Station, into that Great Northern Station. That shows that the crossing is working just fine. I had also just tried moving the locos up and down here. The track power's on, so it would be shorting out if there were going to be problems, as it would be going just on the straight through routes as well, the mainline routes. So fairly straightforward, because it does help a lot that these Atlas Code 55 turnouts and the crossing are obviously DCC friendly. If you were using turnouts that weren't DCC friendly, I've done some modeling in double O gauge and some pico turnouts. You have to kind of jumper a couple of solder pads to kind of make them DCC friendly, and then you have to use insulated rail joiners, I think, on the inside of the frogs as well. There's a couple of different ways that it might work differently in double OH or whatever scale that you're working with. But then even within N scale, different manufacturers do things a little bit differently. But I like these Atlas Code 55 turnouts. I've got a ton of the number 10s and then some of these number 7s as well. Super easy to wire up because they're already DCC friendly, and the same with the crossing. It looks intimidating when you see the track down kind of like this. It's really not that difficult. It's a little bit more, again, because I put feeders on all of inbound routes into the turnouts just so that I make sure I always have good power. But if I wanted to, I could have put it on one of the actual lengths of track right as they come in. This is just a good way to be able to test it all out. So I had to get this in place. I need to figure out the geometry a little bit more to get this aligned before I glue it down. I need to get this in place because I need it for the remainder of the track that's to the east, but also to the west. So if you're new to the channel and you've enjoyed this video, I am working on the Spokane stations over here. And so on the back side here, we've got what would have been the island platform for Great Northern, and on the near side here, on the Isle side, Union Station, which would have been Union Pacific and Milwaukee. I'm also going to claim that Northern Pacific came in here, even though in the prototype it was about 2 or 3 blocks over here somewhere. It'll be in the middle of the Isle. So modeler's discretion. But I had to get the crossing in place because I need to make sure that for the line that's coming up over the bridge into the turnout and then comes up and joins here, and this one that's coming in from Union Station, I need to make sure that I had the alignment correct so that I can finally put in those pieces of track, and then again can make a start going into that reversing loop. So hope you've enjoyed this one. Hope it's been useful. It's not as intimidating, or it's not as complicated rather. I keep bumping the control. It's not as complicated as it looks, even though it looks intimidating. So hope this has helped. Thanks for following along. Check out some of the other videos if you want to know a little bit more about the Spokane station or the rest of this triple deck layout. This is just one side of it. There's more over on the other side of this wall as well.